All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour one. John and Jim, we're with you for the next 3 hours. Once this Padres game ends, we will get into it. You just heard Jim in the update tell you the Padres are leading tonight against the Marlins. Will it even matter, though, based on where they are right now in the standings? We'll get into that. We have great giveaways today. We want to actually start there. We're giving away tickets to see San Diego State, as promised, San Diego State in its home opener Saturday. So here's how you become eligible to win. Let me find, first of all, this liner. Because San Diego State, Ohio is Saturday. Tickets are available right now. Go Aztecs.com. Keep listening for your chance to win. Our coverage Saturday gets underway with me and J.R. Tolver at 2 p.m. Uncle Teddy, Rich Orenberger on the call at 4 p.m. So we're going to qualify a listener every hour to win the tickets.
Correct.
And then at 5:45, we will announce on air who the winner is, and Brent will call today's winner. We will qualify someone every hour, but there's only one winner, and we'll do that today, tomorrow, and Friday. Is that correct?
Yes, John.
That is correct.
And how we're doing that is make sure to listen for this sounder whenever Brent plays it.
Oh, very creative.
And whenever Brent plays that, not right now, okay, not right now, but whenever Brent plays that, throughout the course of the show, once each hour, be caller number 7, 844-570-1360. Then you will then be qualified to win a pair of Aztec tickets to their home opener this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. We'll announce the winner, grand prize winner for each show. Well, for us, each day at 5:45.
All right, so
that means when Jim sneezes 30 times today, I can't play it. So we have to play AI sneeze. Jim.
If you actually
sneeze, yeah.
If you actually sneeze, it doesn't count. It's got to be the sneeze you just heard, and then you call 844-570-1360. So be listening for the sneeze sounder. Can we hear it one more time? This is not when to call. Okay, so when you hear that, not now, call 844-570-1360. You'll be qualified for those tickets, San Diego State, Ohio. We'll get into the Padres in a moment. I actually wanted to start there because we've talked about a lot, actually, over the last couple of weeks, how important this game is. And people are saying, come on. I mean, it's Ohio. It's not Ohio State. They've got UCLA on the schedule, and they've got Boise State and Fresno State and Air Force picked towards the top of the league. They go to Oregon State. That can't be the biggest game on their schedule. I'm just telling you that if there's one game you're going to on San Diego State's home slate this year, this for me is the game because I believe it has a chance to determine how good they're going to be. I just think that if you don't win this week 0, and it's not like if they don't win, we're going to say, oh, season over, because it's sports and you don't know what happens. But I just feel like if you win it, Jim, you can kind of see your way through this thing. And if you don't win it, you look at UCLA at home, Oregon State in Corvallis, Boise at home, Air Force at home. Like, it's a really tricky schedule, and it's a tricky week 1. So, like, for me, if you're an Aztec supporter and there's a game you're looking at, the game that they kind of need the support in my opinion, is this kind of coin flip of a game against a team out of the MAC in Ohio University.
They do. And just real quick, coming up here in a bit, we have some breaking Padres news that we'll get to involving what has happened in this game today. But you're right. They need to get off to a hot start. They need to get off to obviously a better start than what they had last year, because last year, the first game of the season kind of just felt like it trickled down throughout the entire year because of how not flat they were against Arizona, but just as Brady Hoke says, how unprepared they were. Like, they were not fully prepared for Arizona last year. So this year, being like the number one goal is being as prepared as you possibly can be for Ohio, getting off to a good start, hopefully getting off to a 2-0 start and making your way to face off against two pretty tough teams out of the Pac-12. Well, the remaining two teams out of the Pac-12.
Yeah, absolutely. And UCLA and Oregon State. And Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator, will join us today at 5:30. Again, listen for the sounder. When you hear it, be caller 7, 844-570-1360. And you're qualified to win a pair of tickets to see San Diego State and Ohio on Saturday. The Padres are in very good shape today. Robert Suarez was just ejected for sticky stuff.
1-game suspension.
Whatever, right? I mean, as long as they win this game, that's obviously what they need to do.
You don't care about it?
Not overly. I mean, not particularly. We've seen it over parts of the last couple of years, right? I mean, it's not the biggest. I mean, right? Haven't we?
Why do you condone cheating, John?
Yeah.
No, I was just saying, I mean, we've seen it all the time in baseball. I don't know if we've seen it all the time with the Padres, but we've definitely seen it in baseball over the last couple of
I do
years.
think it's significant. I think it is something that is just another layer to this season. Yeah, they're probably going to win today. They're up 4-0. Congratulations. You're still 5.5 back and 6 under. But I mean, that's not a good sign when your potential closer of the future is getting suspended for using sticky stuff. Like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned about it. I think I'm concerned because he couldn't hide it, maybe.
It was on
Like
his wrist.
Yeah, okay. So
Literally, I know that's
I mean, I'm not that to me isn't like, man, this season's been so disappointing, and this is just like this is the cherry on top. This season's just been disappointing.
Not cherry on top.
I mean, so this is a big story.
It's a story, John.
I agree. That's what I just said. Robert Suarez has been suspended or ejected from the game for sticky stuff.
Feels like you don't really think it's a big thing.
I mean, I don't think it's that big of a thing, if I'm being honest. I don't.
Well, I think
what I think is a bigger thing is that what I said last night, I didn't say on the radio, but I said it last night after they lost. And they're going to win today in all likelihood, and they're going to win 2 out of 3, and they're going to be 5.5 games out or whatever they're going to be. I just think it's over. Like, I think this back and forth, cat and mouse, can they do it? Can they not? The writing's on the wall. I mean, it's just fully on the wall. It's just too much to overcome, and they haven't shown us a reason to believe they're going to overcome it. Going to the road now, Milwaukee, St. Louis, none of it's easy, and they just haven't been able to do it. They haven't put together that 4-game winning streak. They haven't put together that 8-10 streak. I just don't trust in this team. Even with today, after what I saw yesterday, all these teams to hurdle, time is running out. I'm ready to say I just don't see it. I really don't. I just don't, even with today.
I don't either. I've been saying all along, this season has felt like it's over for a while now. And you're right. This game to me is kind of meaningless. It kind of is a meaningless game. It's becoming like hollow stats. Like, great, Xander Bogaerts hit a home run today. What does it do for you? Like, the remaining month of the season is going to feel very hollow. It just is. This team doesn't have it. They haven't had it all year. The postseason is a pipe dream at this point. You're 6 freaking games under 500. Give me a break. If anybody out there is trying to convince you this team's going to make the postseason, God bless them. But I feel like that's just fake. It's just completely fake for anybody out there in like our position to tell you this team's going to make the postseason. Because how can you be honest with the fan base when they have watched this all year long and think that saying that, hey, yeah, there's still a chance. There's still it's not. There's 6 games under 500. Give me a break. It's August 23rd. Give me a break. It is over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, again, if it wasn't for 3 wild cards and the National League not being as good as the American League, and maybe there's going to be a year where a team gets in with 82 wins. Maybe there's going to be a year a team gets in with 83 wins. We had Dan Szymborski from Fangraphs yesterday. He's like, we're running thousands of models, and on average, the last team in is like 88 wins. That's like 800 baseball for this team. They can't play 500 baseball.
No.
They have not consistently played 500 baseball, even in the second half, post All-Star break. The urgency quotes from Joe Musgrove. Ha-Seong Kim 2 days ago said, we're playing every game as if it's our last. And they go out and they get shut out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't trust in the words that they're saying. Kevin Acee wrote this today. They're the worst hitting team in baseball when losing. They hit .211 as a team when losing. They hit .219 as a team from the 6th inning on. It's just who they are. And they're 130 games in, and they're going to win this series against the Marlins. Congratulations. They're going to go to the road. And unfortunately, time's running out. And it's not like it's a conversation where it's like, man, there's 5 teams in it, and you got to be one of the top 2. No, there's like 5 teams that are 5 games better than you, and you got to be one of the top 2. So for me, it's like I don't even have the Padres in the hunt category when you look at everyone in front of them and how far in front of them they are.
Yeah, and just a layer on this season is I do think the Robert Suarez thing today is something. There's something there. To you, it might not be anything, but I think that a guy who you gave $9 million a year to, who is the perceived closer of the future, right, is getting suspended and ejected for using foreign substance. And it's just another stain on this season that has been a complete just just the most unfun season you possibly could imagine for a team with expectations as high as it was going into this year. Just no fun at all. Just a massive disappointment, annoying to watch. It's just another stain on the 2023 Padres.
I will say this about Robert Suarez's season. It's a complete loss. I will say this about AJ Preller's track record with signing relievers. Pomerantz, Suarez. It might give you second thoughts about, a long-term deal for Hader. You just have to be so careful with relievers. They're paying him a lot of money. I'm not going to say that Robert Suarez's 2023 impacts his 2024. And I thought he was really good in 2022. And, I don't know. I'm not going to take the sticky stuff thing and be like, well, now Robert Suarez isn't able to bounce back from that, or that's going to impact this team moving forward. I don't think there is anywhere to move in 2023, whether they have Robert Suarez or not. Like, even if you didn't have a Robert Suarez ejection and you didn't have a Robert Suarez suspension, do you feel any different about the trajectory? Does anything change if Robert Suarez didn't get ejected today for you?
No, it's like I told Jim before we came in and do the show that I was flipping through the channels last night and I was on in like MLB tonight, and they brought up the Mariners have had 2 8-game winning streaks just in the month of August. We can't even win 4 games in a row once.
No, not one time.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Not one time. Yeah, man, it's a complete downer of a year. It's an absolute failure of a season. I feel like even if they sneak in, it's like, I don't know, man. And they're not going to, by the way, like, it's not going to happen. The playoff, the P word, the playoffs, that's done. Stop using that word. It's a pipe dream. All right. 5.5 back, 6 under 500 with teams that are in front of them. You would need to have a pretty much miracle at this point. And really, the failures of this team fall on Juan Soto, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, and Fernando Tatis Jr. The big four, they're on the stage and the big four, World Series. Who are we going to beat in the World Series? Oh my gosh, right? They have been a disaster, not only in August, but they have been so inconsistent all year long. And all 4 of them, even though Juan Soto is having technically a good season with the numbers he's putting up, they are all under their career OPSs by a lot. It's not a little, a lot. And the person leading that charge is Manny Machado. Now, he might be injured with the elbow, but even before he was injured with the elbow, it was a disaster of a season for him. He only had 1 good month this year. That was July. No coincidence. The team was actually good that month. Every other month for Manny Machado has been a disaster. Xander Bogaerts, he's playing nice. He had a home run today. Good. Congratulations. His overall season for a guy that's making $280 million for 11 years has been a disaster. Juan Soto's had a good year, up and down, but his August has been a joke. Fernando Tatis Jr., coming off a suspension, coming off of 2 major surgeries, has had a down year. Those 4 have let down this team in the biggest way possible.
But I actually, and you're 100% right, I actually think it goes even beyond. When I hear what Kevin wrote, 211 as a team when trailing, 219 as a team from the 6th inning on, 6 multi-run comebacks all year. I'm talking about 2 runs at any point. Fewest in baseball. It's a collective disaster. Preller, coaching staff, players. Sure, throw the Suarez thing in. Throw everyone in it. Yeah. Throw everyone in it. Maybe there's 1 or 2 players you can say, hey, Ha-Seong Kim, you've really performed beyond expectations. Blake Snell, you've put together a 3-month period of time where you've given the Padres a chance to win every time out. But everyone else, put them in the same pool. Disappointing, frustrating, inexcusable. Now what? Right?
Yeah. And
same guys are back next year, the 4 you just mentioned.
Exactly. And why the Robert Suarez thing does just really bug me and irritate me is that not only do you get caught with it, you get suspended for it. You're now known as this guy that uses sticky stuff. But what does that say about him as a pitcher that he is blatantly using sticky stuff out there to try to help him out? Like that doesn't give me confidence with him going forward. And he might be totally fine, but if he's blatantly using sticky stuff, and I haven't fully watched the video of him getting caught, but it was pretty clear. Like no one argued it. Like the umps were, hey, dude, it's pretty clear you're using it. Going forward, how is he going to perform with not using sticky stuff? Because maybe he was using it this whole time. And if he was using it this whole time, it wasn't working because he wasn't doing good.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried. I mean, in 2020, here's the thing. He's checked every time he's on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's checked every time, here's my guess. He forgot to just wipe it off before he came into the game, would be my guess.
Probably.
And I don't know. It's not the first example. I don't think it's going to be the last example. Is it something great? No, it's not great. Obviously, at the end of the day, you don't want to be without him. To your point, he hasn't been very good in 2023. Maybe it speaks a little bit to kind of the health situation he's dealt with all year as well, that he would even need it or think that he needs it at this point.
I don't know. If anything, maybe it's just a case of it shows their state of desperation to where maybe he's like, hey, we have to win. We can't lose anymore. So, I'm going to do anything I can do to, get an edge to make sure that we win. And then he got caught.
And now it's a 10-game suspension. A 10-game suspension in a season where you need to win like 15 in a row right now.
Well, here's the thing. He's missed at the end of the year. He's going to have not been eligible for 100 plus games. I mean, he missed close to 100 games maybe to start the year.
Right. But you need everybody in that bullpen that is
we just said it's over.
I know it is. I'm just looking at it from Bob Melvin's standpoint right now. Me and you, I get it. It's over. Done. Cooked.
Yeah.
But from Bob Melvin's standpoint, you're thinking to yourself, like, really? Now I don't have another option in the bullpen? This is a joke.
It'll be interesting to hear what Bob Melvin has to say about a postgame.
I know.
I'm definitely curious to hear what Bob Melvin has to say postgame.
And maybe, Josh Hader's pitched like 3 times in the last 2 weeks. He's
right.
I don't know. So, hey, maybe Josh Hader can. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind.
Maybe he goes, I don't think you're going to see him go 6 outs. I don't even know.
Just kidding.
All right, let's go to the phones real quick. 844-570-1360. Dave, you've been patient. Dave, thanks for calling in. You're on with John and Jim.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, man. Well, 3 quick bullet points for the Padre memo of the day. Number one, I don't know if you noticed or not, they extended Davey Martinez over in Washington. So they gave an extension to this guy who, obviously is not on a winning team. It's very silent here in San Diego regarding our manager, and I think that speaks volumes. And this goes back to the lack of a vigorous vote of confidence by Peter back when he was calling AJ excellent. So this is a problem that they created, and it didn't need to be just a distraction. It really is. Number 2, yes, the problem on Suarez, Jim, you hit the nail on the head. Does this indicate to us that this guy has such lack of confidence in his stuff that he goes out there and has to use a substance? And I don't know, John, you might be right too. Maybe he forgot to wipe it off. The fact of the matter is it's just stupid. And it's just dumb. Last thing, MLS radio today, I think, brought up an excellent point. A lot of times teams, and they parallel the Padres and the Yankees, bring in all of these superstar prima donnas, call them what you want. And the fact of the matter is the lineups just don't work. And so this is what we have in San Diego. And it's time for everybody to kind of get their arms around this, because the bigger problem now is they promised a World Series this year. That was the ultimate goal. Well, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get the playoffs. You've now backloaded contracts that you can't get rid of. So if you're looking to adjust this roster, how the hell do you do that? So when they blame the players, no, I don't blame the players, guys. You blame the guys who set up the roster for failure because they didn't address all of the things that need to be addressed in the offseason.
Dave, thank you. Here's the thing. I blame them all.
Yeah.
I blame them all.
I 100% put a lot of, the players aren't blameless in this thing. You can't the players have so much blame here. Now Preller has a lot of blame as well, but man, do these players who go out there and get paid a bunch of money and the way that they look out there is just makes you as a fan so upset to see how many times this year they have looked lifeless and heartless and that they have no fight.
All right, we'll hear from Bob Melvin when the game goes final. Padres are 3 outs away from a victory over the Marlins.
Yay!
On the other side, an update related to realignment. What does it mean for San Diego State? Plus, Notre Dame's AD, Jack Swarbrick, chimes in with some really interesting words today on the Dan Patrick Show. Also, again, be listening for that sounder when you hear it, 844-570-1360. We will have 3 people qualify to win San Diego State, Ohio tickets, including someone. All right. As realignment turns, we have an update. What will it mean for San Diego State? That's next.
All right, this update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Marlins game, top of the ninth inning. Padres lead 4-0. Robert Suarez was ejected from the game for using a foreign substance. He is now suspended for 10 games. In NFL news of the day, 49ers have named Sam Darnold their backup quarterback, meaning Trey Lance likely is going to be either traded or cut from the team, according to reports. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school right now. A 24-pack of Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each, and select notebooks are just 35 cents each. In-store only. Offer ends 8/26. Limited to 30. School on, save on at Staples.
All right, be listening for that sounder. When you hear it, call 844-570-1360. You'll be qualified to win San Diego State, Ohio tickets for Saturday. Snapdragon Stadium tickets are available at goaztecs.com. Aztecs defensive coordinator Kurt Mattix will be on the show coming up at 5:30. Really interesting comments today from Jack Swarbrick. He's the athletic director at Notre Dame. This comes actually before we receive news from ESPN and Pete Thamel that the ACC is still kicking the tires on the additions of Cal and Stanford and SMU, by the way, which we both kind of feel the same way. Like, it doesn't really feel right. It feels like San Diego State was the best positioned team in the group of five to get to the Power Five. But for whatever reason, SMU, that they're willing to like forego all payments to just get in potentially to the ACC. So let's react to that in a moment. But Jack Swarbrick, kind of an interesting person to comment on the state of college athletics as the AD for the independent Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But listen to this back and forth on the, what show is this on? This is Dan Patrick earlier today with Jack Swarbrick.
Can you sum up what's happened with college football in the last, where would you start?
Complete disaster.
How did we get here, Jack?
I wish I knew. And listen, I'm not, everybody in the industry has to take responsibility here. I'm not excluding myself from that. I think the decision-making has lost its way in terms of the focus on the student athlete and what's primarily best for them. But we are where we are, and we have to try and make it work. I mean, we've been pretty vocal in the past month about we need to find a home for Stanford and Cal. That you can't have two of the great academic institutions in the world not have a place to play.
What kind of solution you got?
We're working on it.
Meaning?
Well, there's still consideration of the ACC as a home for those schools.
Okay. And Notre Dame is lobbying for Stanford and Cal to join?
Very much so.
Okay. And the Pac-12 dies?
It's looking that way more and more every day, yes.
Is it just me, or is it like, it's a little odd where you're like, hey, we need to find a home for Stanford and Cal. We're going to use our leverage to help get them into the ACC. We're not even in the ACC, but we're going to get them in the ACC. And oh, by the way, they're great academic institutions. It's not fair if they don't have homes. And then there's Oregon State and Washington State. What are they? I mean, they're academic institutions too. Just because they're not Stanford and Cal, they shouldn't get some of the same treatment. It just feels like we just kind of make it up as we go along. Mm-hmm. Whatever works for those in power is what ends up happening.
Whoever has the most money, whoever can offer them the most as far as TV revenue goes. But if SMU ends up getting in a Power 5 conference in the ACC before San Diego State gets into a Power 5 conference, that not only does that feel just dirty and wrong, but how SMU is going about it, where we don't want any money. We'll just go in for free. And that means we're in a Power 5. Yay. That's for 7 years.
Yeah, right. So that's what's being discussed. It's like, well, how does SMU get in the ACC? It makes no sense. Well, the other schools would all make their TV money. So if SMU goes, they forego their money and the other schools all get it. That's the plain and simple way of looking at it.
Right.
Where you might be like, well, why doesn't San Diego State do that? Because first of all, San Diego State is getting TV money, right? SMU is basically would be going from TV money to no TV money,
which is
like they're getting money
funny
in the American and they get no money for 7 years in the ACC. SMU is also a private school.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego State is a public school. And by the way, it's not fair, or why would San Diego State go to a power league? And I think some people would still be on board with it because they're in a power league. But like, this goes back to my issue. It's not merit-based. It's like San Diego State has outperformed SMU in every metric for a decade plus, but SMU might get the invite before San Diego State. Why? Because SMU has money and donors?
Yeah.
Like, a great system, It's like,
Well, yeah, no, John, the system sucks. It's the dumbest thing ever. College football is the most corrupt.
no, I don't think it's corrupt.
You don't think it's corrupt?
I don't think college football is corrupt
Why not?
because I don't think it's corruption. I mean, I don't think there's like
Maybe-
money
maybe-
behind
maybe it's not-
tables determining who's like.
Okay, that's not the right word. It's broke.
Yeah, right. There's some things that you'd like to see fixed.
Some things I want to see a lot of things fixed.
I agree,
and it
but
will never be fixed because money is involved. And when money's involved at such a huge dollar amount, that will come number one over everything else.
Well, I'll give you an example of why I thought they took a step in the right direction, expanding the playoff and opening it up truly to the
Yeah.
group of 5. But it's not. But the rules will keep changing, and I agree with you. It's set up for those that are in power to keep the power. Is how it's set up. It's a little bit like like we talk about with American soccer. It's like a closed system. There's no way to play your way in. It feels at times like San Diego State wins, but they're still kept on the outside. Maybe that changes with the expanded playoff. Like in soccer overseas, you win and you can play your way up. In soccer in America, you win and you can't really play your way up. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what impact it's going to have on San Diego State. San Diego State remains in the same spot they were, which is like the most desirable team in the group of 5, even after this latest round of realignment. The SMU thing is a curveball for everyone. And we'll see what happens the next time the music stops. This is weird. Cal, Stanford, and SMU to the ACC. Who saw that coming 3 weeks ago? No one? Who saw the collapse of the Pac-12 fully coming? Anyone?
Well, after USC and UCLA jumped ship, I think there were a couple people out there that were like, yeah, especially with the people that were in charge of the Pac-12, this doesn't look good for them. And as the longer that no TV deal was signed, there's still not a TV deal. Well, it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, there's no league.
Teams
left for the TV deal.
Never mind.
I don't think they're going to get a TV deal.
No,
now, what happens with Oregon State and Washington State? I saw someone just report, I don't know the accuracy on it, that Oregon State will meet with the Mountain West to have like an initial meeting. They could talk to the American as well. I said the day of the SC UCLA news, if nothing else, it seems like San Diego State's going to be in a league with Oregon State and Washington State. And that still seems really likely, maybe even more likely day in and day out with each passing day.
It's not, it just sucks. It sucks for San Diego State because all of this was out of their control. They did everything they possibly could. They were ready to go to the Pac-12. And now they're on the outside looking in. And it's really, for anybody that says that it's San Diego's fault, like they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. They just are upset because they're trying to be upset at San Diego State because they think San Diego State is, doing things behind the scenes that is not helping them get to a Power 5 when in reality they actually are and they have been. It's just things that are out of their control.
Yeah, it's been outside of their control, and we'll see what happens next. I mean, the one thing about conference realignment I always say is it never ends, and we'll see the next time there's more realignment. It could be as soon as this week, literally, with the ACC. On the other side, let's hear from Bob Melvin. Padres win today. They do lose Robert Suarez for 10 games, presumably to a sticky stuff foreign substance suspension. Bob Melvin, will he react to that? Hopefully, we'll hear from Bob Melvin on the other side. Plus, today, Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator, will join us at 5:30. Also, still ahead, listen for that sounder. When you hear it, call 844-570-1360, and you'll be qualified to win tickets for Saturday, San Diego State against the Ohio Bobcats. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, Bob Melvin about to speak to the media as the Padres win but lose their setup man Robert Suarez to a sticky stuff violation. Plus, we're going to hear from Xander Bogaerts last night. Interesting comments after a Padres loss. Next. All right, we're going to hear from Bob Melvin in a moment. He's currently speaking with the media. You'll hear from Bob Melvin in a moment. Padres over the Marlins. They win a series. They go 5-5? 5-5 on the 10-game homestand? I think that's right. Lost 3 or 4 to Arizona.
And the
Took 2 out of
biggest
3
the biggest 10-game homestand of the season. Yeah, 5-5. Good job.
5-5.
Yeah, 6 games under 500. Everybody, yay!
Man, you are not taking this win. You have
No. It feels like wins now for the Padres are completely meaningless unless they rip off 10 in a row. Which does anybody think they're going to do?
No, and that's why I said last night I think it's over.
Yeah, you go 5-5 on the most important homestand of the season when we all said coming into it they needed to go like 7-3 at worst.
Mm-hmm.
And you're 5.5 back. Is there a possibility they could be?
Yeah, more than 5.5 back there.
Because the Reds played 2 today.
Twice, yeah.
So if the Reds beat the Angels,
They'd have to beat them twice, and they would be still 6 games back.
okay, 6 back with 35 to play. You lost your setup man for 10 games.
I think it's less than 35. 34.
34.
Yep.
You're also playing a situation where you've played, I think, you've played more games than a lot of these teams in front of you, by the way.
More games overall, you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, that'll even out, right?
It'll even out. But at this point, like, you don't have 4 extra games over the other teams.
Yeah.
You have 4 less games or 5 less games or whatever the number is. Less games than the teams that are in front of you.
Yep.
So that's playing against you as well. Like, yeah, it's done. I mean, these games are meaningless wins, and it feels very hollow.
That's why. Okay, so that's why I go back to, and we'll hear what Bob Melvin has to say about Robert Suarez. That's why I'm like, none of this stuff to me is overly impactful. Now, I'm not going to kill them if they win. Hopefully, they win, and if they can rattle off something which they haven't done, then we'll talk about it. But I think the odds here are incredibly unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the die is cast. Like, I don't even know if that's the term. Whatever. The writing's on the wall.
There you go.
You know everything
Both
you need to
would have
know.
worked.
The paint's dry.
The paint's dry. That's what I.
What other cliche can we pull out?
With all that being said, I'd prefer for them to finish by playing good baseball than not.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, the weird thing about this season is that they win a series against the Marlins, and they won the previous series they just played against whomever the hell they played.
Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, they just beat two good teams. I think Baltimore's a lot better than Miami.
Yeah.
But it's like every time they do anything positive, they always have a step back. 3 out of 4, they lose to the Diamondbacks. They go to the road and they don't take advantage of an opportunity. You get it. You've been following along. We've all been watching how this has played out. So, unfortunately, with 34 games to play, I hope they have to, they got to prove me wrong.
Yeah. They would need to go 27-7 in their final 34 to win. What is it? 80. That's 88 wins.
Yeah, that's 88.
That's like a miracle. That's a miracle run.
It'd be nice.
That's a miracle run. Anything less than that,
and they might not be in.
Yeah, I mean, 26-8. You're like, dude, give me a break. And really, realistically, in the last 34 games, even if they go 20-14, that's still a good record over a 30 game.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Not good enough. Not even close to good enough. And guess what? You finished the year under 500.
Well, in 2014, they'd be 500.
Oh, they'd be. That's right. 81. Yeah.
All right, Bob Melvin. Padres win today, by the way. They beat the Marlins. They get a home run from Xander Bogaerts. Seth Lugo was really good. Josh Hader works out of a bases loaded jam. Padres have a day off Thursday. They're going to Milwaukee. They'll get Brandon Woodruff, who's been very good in game 1 of that series. I'm assuming Bob Melvin starts with Seth Lugo. Let's take a listen.
I think regardless who we were playing and where we were at, this is probably as much of a must-win as we had this year. So, I mean, look, all of them are important now in the position that we put ourselves in, but against these guys, to lose 2 out of 3 would have been even a tougher road.
Seth Lugo once again giving you a great outing, back-to-back outings now with no runs. Just aggressive as usual, typical Seth outing.
Yeah, aggressive. He's tweaked the slider a little bit, curveball, mixing his pitches up a little bit, obviously up and down, both sides. Had really good stuff today. We've seen him pitch like this quite often, and this one we needed a big outing out of him. We needed, to get some momentum starting the game. We score a run. It feels like, we're in pretty good position with him on the mound, and then we added on, but it all started with Seth today.
As far as Robert's situation, it's clear what happened, but what can you tell us details of what the umpires were telling you?
Yeah, I was out there late. I took a bad time to go to the restroom. But when I got out there, they said that they felt like it was too sticky, and, we're looking into it right now. That's all I can give you.
Is there an appeal process, or is it an automatic suspension, or what happens from here?
There is an appeal process. I think it's the player that has to appeal it, not the team. So we're looking into all these things at this point.
If it turns out that you are missing him for 10 days, that's kind of a setback at this point.
It is.
Tom Cosgrove's got it, and
yeah, we just Barlow's been pitching well. We have guys down there to overcome it. Obviously, he's a big piece for us, but similar to an injury, sometimes you just have to move on, and other guys have to step up.
What were they saying was sticky, the glove or the hand, or what?
To me, it was the hand. So that's what I had. And like I said, I was out there a little bit late, but that just said to me the hand was too sticky.
Back to Lugo, he's pitched more innings than he has in the past, and he seems to be kind of getting stronger late in the season. What has allowed him to do what he's done this late in the season when he hasn't been in this role in 5-6 years?
I think it's mindset. From the very first day that he knew he was going into the rotation, he didn't want to hear about innings. He didn't want to hear about limits. He didn't want to hear about anything like that. Now, he's a reliever that pitches multiple innings, and he's gotten a few innings under his belt more so than some relievers, but it was just more mindset and conviction what he was doing. And from the very start, I don't know if the IL stint helped that or whatever to kind of reset, but he wanted nothing to do with talking about an innings limit.
I know.
All right, so Bob had the old bathroom break during the Suarez check.
Was it a number 1 or number 2?
Well, I mean, between innings, you only got like 100 seconds. You got 2 minutes.
If I was Bob, I might spend the rest of the season in the bathroom. Be like that guy from summer school that spent the whole time in the bathroom. My zipper got stuck.
Yeah, like, wait, what?
He's like,
what's happening?
Wait, what happened? Hold on, I got to wipe.
Dude.
Was it a 1? I gotta know. The follow-up question is, Bob, was it a number 1 or number 2?
I mean, I gotta think it's a 1. You have under 2 minutes.
I know, but sometimes you gotta go. Sometimes you gotta go.
Absolutely,
You can't hold it in, man. It's just
That's a
sometimes
fair
it's just
point.
you gotta let the body do its thing, right?
That's a fair point.
Oh,
all right, you know what to do.
If you know, you know. 570-1360.
Yeah,
844-570-1360.
I'm like, is that the number?
Yeah, that is.
I don't know what to listen. I just looked it up. Just Robert Suarez this year,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you don't want to lose him, but it's like, again, I
You
don't
like
know.
literally don't care they got
I know,
suspended.
for whatever reason. I don't. Again, if they were heading into the postseason right now, I'd be like, this is the biggest thing ever. For me right now, it's like, Machado's not even playing in the field. Tatis, they're putting in center. They're trying things out. This just gives them another opportunity to go audition Tom Cosgrove in the 8th inning. He's got a negative WAR.
Who, Suarez?
He has a negative WAR this year.
Okay.
He's got a 5 ERA. I mean, it's, it hasn't been a great year. I think losing him for 10 games with his 5 ERA and negative WAR isn't like, oh my gosh, there goes the season. That's not a good look for Robert Suarez.
No, it's not a good look for Robert Suarez. It's a one less option for Bob Melvin out of the bullpen. You're moving guys up into positions.
Can you add to the? You can add though. Yeah, you can add. There's no way you play a man down, do you? I don't think you do, but maybe you do. Is that one of the penalties for having a guy use sticky stuff? I forget. Do you play one light? I forget if you do or not.
I don't know.
It all comes full circle now. They're a genius for leaving Matt Carpenter's roster spot there because now they can use it.
Yes.
All right, here's what we're going to do.
Perfect.
Hour 2 on the other side. We'll get to the wrap. More on the Padres win, but they lose Robert Suarez. Kurt Mattix is San Diego State's defensive coordinator. He'll join us coming up at 5:30. Stay with us on John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, Marlins, final game of the 3-game series today. Padres won 4-0. They're now 6 games under 500 and 5.5 games back. The final wild card spot in the National League. Moving over to NFL news today. Trey Lance got demoted to QB3 as Sam Darnold is now the backup quarterback for the 49ers. And Aztecs basketball news of the day. The times and date for the Continental Tires main event in Las Vegas has been released today, with San Diego State taking on St. Mary's November 17th at 6:30 p.m. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school. Right now, a 24-pack of Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each, and select notebooks are just 35 cents each. In-store only. Offer ends 8/26, limited to 30. School on, save on at Staples.
San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 2 of John and Jim. I want to comment on something Jim just said. First of all, I was amazed as you worked your way through that. I thought you were going to butcher it 100 times worse than you did. Not that it was like
I didn't
radio,
really butcher it. I just
radio
didn't.
Gold. Did you mention that in the first 2 updates or not?
Let me ask that for you.
No, right? So you just wanted to get in the tip time.
Just want to throw it in there. See if you're listening. San Diego State, St. Mary's, Continental Tire Invitational in Las Vegas.
Let me make a quick point here.
Oh, here we go.
You're
upset about something.
I'm upset about this like Jim is about Robert Suarez. He wants to get Robert Suarez off the team.
Can I guess what you're upset about?
You already know, right?
No, I don't know. I have no clue what you're upset about. Is it that they're on ESPN Plus?
Thank you. So San Diego State, listen to this. They go to a national championship game. Spoiler alert, if you were still watching the tournament and catching up.
They lost.
So, damn it, I've had it paused this whole time.
It's a 2-game event, okay? There's a 6:30 Pacific game, and there's a 9 p.m. Pacific game on Friday night, and then the winners play each other, the losers play each other on Sunday, right? This is F1 weekend in Vegas, like the week before Thanksgiving. San Diego State in ESPN's way too early top 25 is ranked 12th. Thank you, Richard Stern, San Diego State Sports and Information. Not Sports Information. Sports Information. I'm an idiot. St. Mary's is also in the way too early top 25, number 23. You got 2 top 25 preseason teams playing on ESPN Plus. Then you've got Xavier and Washington playing in the nightcap on ESPN 2. Xavier, a team that's been to the NCAA tournament 1 time in the last 5 years. Washington, a team that's been to the NCAA tournament 1 time in the last 9 years. Explain that to me. San Diego State, even off a championship game, doesn't get the respect of like television networks. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't care what anyone says. That makes no sense to me.
You're so mad.
I'm mad about this like you are about the Robert Suarez sticky stuff suspension.
Right. Well, guess what? If you can't watch it on TV, you can always listen to it right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home of the Aztecs.
Just don't change the dial between now and game night.
Never do it.
In November.
Keep it on 760 forever.
So do I have a point or no?
I don't like that it's on ESPN Plus. I'm with you there, and that Xavier Washington is on ESPN 2.
Right.
Maybe they think they'll drive eyeballs to ESPN
Plus. I think you're right. I do.
Maybe, and I would say the better matchup is St. Mary's, San Diego State.
Yeah, definitely. It's a better start time. I'd rather play at 6:30 Pacific than 9 p.m.
Sure. I think the start time that's a great start time. But yeah, I mean,
the 9 p.m. is midnight Eastern. It's not like there's a zillion people watching.
I got an idea. Beat St. Mary's, because guess what? Then you're in the championship game of this tournament. Well, it's only 2 games, but then you're on ESPN 2, and there you go. How you doing?
Sweep the Brewers, sweep the Cardinals, sweep the A's.
Sweep them
then
all.
We'll talk.
Sweep them all. Sweep them all. Sweep them all. Sweep everybody. Never lose. Never lose another game.
And if they win 85 games, they'll have to get over 500 to win 85 games.
Right. Yeah. Can I get to?
Yeah, the Aztecs will win 4 games in a row in about 3 weeks.
I know they did. They
did that about 6 times last year.
Yeah, it won't take them all season.
Yeah,
like
they're
some
good
teams.
Can I get to what Xander Bogaerts said last night?
Sure.
Okay. So last night after the loss, for these types of losses, I want to hear what is being said out of the clubhouse by
when you say these types of losses.
Losing like the most lifeless way you can imagine.
Okay.
To the point where they go down 2 or 3 runs and it is like over.
Okay.
One run through like 6 innings.
One hit.
again.
Well,
Okay.
they had
Or
one
hit, I
hit
think.
against a guy who had an ERA over 11 in his last 4 starts.
2.
Sorry.
Mhm.
So I wanted to hear what was said out of the clubhouse. And I listened to Xander Bogaerts talk. And there's a little a snippet, which we're going to play here, of something he said during his post-game press conference that I thought to myself, well, if you want to talk about reasons why this team is where they're at, I point to this being one of them. Listen to what Bogaerts said after this game and tell me if you hear it.
In that there's like 6 weeks left, whatever it is, 35 games. What does every loss feel like? I mean, every loss, like a day goes by too.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if it feels like more.
Yeah, it does. It does, because you can't get that back. And it's not like we were early on and we were like, you know what, we still have like 110 games left, 115, 120 games left. We don't. We have, at one point it was like 40 a couple days ago. So every loss should feel double. And to me, it feels that way. I mean, I don't know for the other guys, but yeah.
Okay. Did you hear it?
Yeah. I don't know about to the other guys.
When he mentions, yeah, to me, these losses feel like double, but hey, I don't know about the other guys in the clubhouse, how they feel about it. And that to me just speaks to the problem I feel like that this team has been dealing with all year long. It goes back to the start of the year, or close to the start of the year, when you had Nelson Cruz being quoted in an article by Kevin Acee asking around the clubhouse to guys, hey, do you know what the problem is? And the response from everyone in the clubhouse is, I don't know. And hearing that, my eyebrows definitely got raised. And I was like, okay, if you have to say, well, I don't know how the other guys in the clubhouse feel about losing these games, but for me, it sucks, but I don't know about everyone else. That is the problem and the core issue with this team, in my opinion.
So, okay. So, and I agree. So, and this idea that, well, guys don't have to like each other. Guys don't have to pull in the same direction. Talent wins out. It's a very individualistic game. You just go to the batter's box. You don't do it with someone else and you hit the ball, right? Or on the mound, it's just you, right? Maybe you and a battery mate, but it isn't as simple as that. Mm-hmm. They spend every waking hour together for 9 months. This started in February. This started in early February. And when a dynamic is off, you have things like what I talked about an hour ago, hitting 211 as a team when trailing, hitting 219 as a team from the 6th inning on. 6 comebacks all year. I think I have that number right. It's either 4 or 6. I think it's 6. 6 comebacks all year of more than 1 run at any point. And by the way, none of them are unbelievable 6-run comebacks. I think there's some 2s, a 3, and a 4 in there. So I'm with you. The dynamic at play is as much about between the white lines as it is about what's happened outside the white lines with the Padres this year.
But that's it to me. Like, the more I think about it, the more it upsets me. Because if you have one of your perceived leaders of the team, this is not Xander Bogaerts' team. This is 100% Manny Machado's team. Okay. But Xander Bogaerts is paid a good amount of money to be a big voice in that clubhouse and a driving force into why they win baseball games. He was good today, but overall the season's not been good. And to hear him just say, like, yeah, I don't know what he feels, but to me it sucks. I don't know about him. Like, that just speaks to the lack of chemistry that this team has, the lack of communication I feel like that's going on in the clubhouse. If you don't know what the other guy, if you don't feel that anybody else in the clubhouse feels the same way you do, or at least everybody in the clubhouse, like everybody, he should have said, this sucks for us, and everybody in this clubhouse is feeling it, and everybody feels this way about it. But when he goes about and says, I don't know what he's feeling, I don't know what I know about me, but I don't know what the rest of everyone's feeling.
I just think it's a moment of honesty, a lot like Juan Soto saying we've quit. We quit at times when we go down. I just think it's like this moment in time where you get someone immediately after something that's disappointing, and they actually give you the truth. Manny Machado at times will be, open like that and candid, and he'll be criticized for it. Soto, occasionally it'll happen in disappointing moments. I think Bogaerts has been candid at times, including last night in that loss. And, you don't typically get it. I don't think you get that from Xander Bogaerts before a game. after a night of sleep, preparing for a game. But in that raw moment of like, man, I can't believe we are where we are. He's frustrated. And he's like, you know what? I care. I don't know if they do. And that's the truth. Now, can he do something about that? To your point. Can he make sure that these guys all, pull in the same direction? I don't know if you can do it. It's like it's August.
And I personally like hearing honesty from that clubhouse. When Juan Soto said the things he said about the team quitting and giving up on games in series when they go down by however many runs, like I thought that was refreshing. And it was like about time someone said it. And it confirmed like, okay, we're not crazy for thinking this stuff, right? We're not crazy for thinking this team literally gives up because they have admitted it. And hearing him walk it back, somebody in that clubhouse went up to him and was like, bro, I give it S. Like, I care. Don't tell me that I quit. Don't tell everybody that I quit because I don't quit. And it might have been Xander. Xander might have gone to me like, bro, dude, don't say that. What are you doing? And he walked it back immediately the next day. And I don't even know if Xander really knew what he was saying there after the game last night about how, like, I don't know if everybody in this clubhouse cares if we lose these games, like, I don't even know if he meant to say it or if it just came out because Xander's extremely honest and extremely upfront about everything when he's asked questions. I think he's very candid and I think it's very refreshing to hear. But you're right. The honesty from these players, you understand why they are in the position they're at.
And the thing is, so like my point is everyone's been frustrated. And when it's in the moment, you're most likely to get the truth. A day later, you're not going to say the same things about the circumstance that presented itself at work that you will in that exact moment. Say, this is a joke. I got to I got to work an extra hour because my boss is late. You say that in the moment. The next day, you're probably not going to say that. If you had the media in your face in real time, you'd say some things you probably wish you didn't say. And I think that's happened a lot with these Padres. They're 6 games under 500. It doesn't make any sense. Team that was in the National League Championship Series last year that has had every chance in the world to get back into this thing. They've had so many chances to get up off the mat. The season is so long. People have tried to bury them all year long, and even now it's not yet fully over. But even after last night, Xander's like, how did we get here? And I'm frustrated that we're here. And I care. I don't know if they do. And that's his honest truth. I don't know if we'll walk it back. I don't think it's the same thing as the Soto thing.
No, because it was, and why I wanted to play it, is because that's how I felt about the situation, hearing that. But I don't think that was something that is being viewed maybe by other people, or even if it was heard. I don't know if people are even really talking about it. I think we might be the only people ever that are talking about that specific line that Xander Bogaerts said last night after the game, because it was kind of thrown in there. Like, this was a 3 or 4 minute post game scrum with Xander, and this was only a snippet of that post game. So yeah, it's definitely it sucks. It sucks if you're a fan of this team. It sucks because you have Xander here and you have Soto here, and these two guys are perceived winners, and they've been on World Series teams, and they've been big parts of those World Series teams, and they come here and there's like no cohesiveness in that clubhouse.
Yeah, and it's like, do you put it on Xander and Soto, or do you put it on like the team? Because it's like they were added to the mix.
I know. Like,
the mix was already here. They're just one ingredient of the mix.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's fair to be critical of everyone. There's been a lot of criticism levied towards Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Oh, the way he goes about his business when they're trailing. Some of the comments he's made about the team postgame, like, hey, we quit at times. I think there's been criticism levied toward Xander Bogaerts. But the thing that Xander Bogaerts has and that Juan Soto has that Manny Machado doesn't have and Fernando Tatis Jr. doesn't have is all that matters.
Right. Is a ring.
Exactly. And one of those players has multiple. So, like, I kind of tend to maybe start with, like, the group that was here and then go to the group that actually was added to the equation.
Because you have to remember, and I see people in the chat talking about it and text line, like, about what I just said about Xander and Soto. Like, if there's these perceived winners, you gotta come here and change the clubhouse dynamic. Like, they're supposed to be difference makers in that clubhouse. Well, it's kind of hard to be the difference maker in a clubhouse when you walk into a clubhouse and you know that it will never be yours. because the top dog in there is Manny Machado. That's the top dog. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long Xander. It doesn't matter. Manny Machado's the top dog in that clubhouse. The ranking of leaders in there, it goes Manny, Musgrove, and then you can put Soto, Bogaerts, whatever you want, right? But Manny runs the ship. Manny is the guy in there. So to think that you're going to come in and say, like, I'm the captain now, that's not going to happen. And if that did happen, then you got problems because Manny's not going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, it's fine. You think Manny's going to be like that? No chance.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out moving forward because these are such long deals, like the Machado deal and the Bogaerts deal, that will the dynamic at some period of time, shift or not? But it's a good point. Manny Machado's been here 5 years. Manny Machado is Manny Machado, and I don't expect like his temperament or tenor to change based on the players that they've added around him, to be honest. Let's go to the phones. 844-570-1360. Again, 844-570-1360 if you want to weigh in. Larry has called in. Larry, you're on with John and Jim. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm as appalled as you are with this baseball season. I'm glad Bogaerts spoke up. There's quitters in that room, and they're very self-centered. Snell, after last night's game, was more PO'd about a scoring application to the pitching than he was about them losing.
I didn't hear that.
When he's more concerned about his ERA, come on, man. This is a team game. I was pissed when I heard that this morning. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. I need to hear that. I honestly, now I have to hear that. Well, it's now been referenced twice.
We'll hear it coming up here later in the show.
Have you heard that?
I have not.
Okay. That's gonna really piss me off.
I bet it will. And
that's gonna really, really piss me off.
And we have to hear it first. But if that's true, and he was complaining about his ERA going up because whatever reason, it speaks to the egos in that room being super self-centered and me instead of team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sorry. And Blake Snell, there's been no reason whatsoever to be at all critical of Blake Snell. He deserves all the credit in the world for changing the narrative on his time in San Diego. You cannot put any of this. I mean, you just can't put any of this if we're being fair and reasonable.
He's gonna
on Blake Snell, and he's also, I like hearing from. He's another one of these guys that I enjoy hearing from. But if you're talking post game, and even if it's just for a brief moment about your numbers coming out of a loss, that's an awful, awful look.
And like you said, credit to him because now this offseason, he's going to get a boatload of money.
No doubt.
And personally for him, that's great. He's going to make so much money this offseason when there was a time this year, start of the season, you're like, dude, this guy's not going to get anything.
I agree.
Like he was probably on track to maybe get like a 1-2 year deal. Like if he pitched the way he did, but he turned it around and he's become one of the best left-handers in baseball. Would I give him the money that he's looking for? Absolutely not. No chance. But someone will.
Right.
And good for him.
Let's go back to the phones. Jack on line 4, 844-570-1360. If you want to comment on Xander Bogaerts last night, Blake Snell last night, Robert Suarez leaving this game due to foreign substances, facing a 10-game suspension, 844-570-1360. Jack, you're on with John and Jim.
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
I agree with so much of what you said, and I wonder, how do we go about resolving this, especially the Manny Machado issue? I see him as one of the primary, if not the primary issues that the team faces. His ego, the way that he pouts, I think it's infectious. I think it infects other teammates, and I don't know what can be done with it. Please share your thoughts.
Thanks for the call, Jack.
I mean, listen, I think we've been really honest with the Machado situation. I think Jim's been very critical, rightfully, of Manny Machado at times over his tenure here in San Diego. And to not address the fact that Machado's tenure coincides with 2019 second half, 2021 second half, and 2023 season is pure negligence.
Yeah.
So like it has to be addressed. To say that it's all on him,
right?
Or we don't know the full dynamic, but to say that he does no wrong and he's not accountable here is utterly misleading and completely unfair to the situation.
And if Bob Melvin gets fired at the end of the season, that will be 3 managers for Manny Machado in 5 years.
Right.
Well, actually 4 because they have to hire a new one.
Right. At that point, I guess 4 and 6 years at the start of 2024.
Right. 4 and 6 years. I'm not saying that he's just like coach killer or
Yeah.
anything, but I do, and I've said this before, the mood of Manny Machado is kind of like the wind sometimes. You don't know which way it's going.
Mhm.
You can go in there and you can talk to Manny, and it can be the most insightful conversation possible.
Right.
And he is very capable of giving that to you. And then other days, he's trying to get under Kevin Acey's skin and make him look like an idiot.
Or Marty.
Or
It could be anyone.
It can be anybody. It's just whoever he has picked out that day, he's going to go at that person.
Mhm.
So, and that, I just don't like that with Manny. Like when he, I understand some of these questions can be tedious and annoying, and it is annoying to do. But when you're the leader of a team and you are, putting off these reporters and, talking back to them, like that's not a good look, dude. I'm sorry. It's not a good look.
And the whole thing here, like you got to be able to see. Here's a cliche: the forest
Yes.
through the trees.
Oh,
you cannot look at this thing like they won a series against the Marlins, or hey, their top prospect had a double.
Ethan Salas.
You know what I mean? Like all these things on the periphery don't matter. All that matters, not run differential, and I'll joke about it, not marine layer, not ballpark factors, not batter's eyes, not luck. All that matters is one thing. They're 6 games under 500, and they're 5.5 or 6 games out, depending on results today.
Yeah.
That's where they are. That's who they are. Anything else is completely irrelevant to the conversation.
Yep. And Jack's question here before we hit break, like, I'm sorry, Jack, there's nothing to be done. It's Manny's
a good question.
Manny is here for the next 10 years, unless he says he wants out.
It's only a decade.
It's only a decade.
What's 10 years?
It's fine.
We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of time. This script can be rewritten a lot over the next 10 years.
When he's good, the team's good. When he's bad, the team's bad, and everything crumbles.
So
It's kind of
to be good.
Yeah, just needed to be good.
On the other side, we're going to get to the wrap. When you hear the sneeze sounder, remember to call 844-570-1360. You will be qualified for a chance to win San Diego State, Ohio tickets Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium. We're qualifying someone every hour, 3, 4, and 5 o'clock hour. We'll announce the winner of today's tickets coming up at 5:45. The wrap next. Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator, at 5:30. This is John and Jim. How on earth did we miss this? Because we did a wrap-up show last night. You were outside like an Advanced Auto Parts. It was ridiculous. Jim couldn't do it from his place. People are sick. Aaron's sleeping. Brent, it was a S show. It was bad, but kind of good in it, like bad in a good way.
If you missed it, go check it out. Padres wrap-up show on YouTube. I could not do a show from my house last night because one, our roommate's sick and his girlfriend had to sleep on the couch because she didn't want to get sick, and she had I think finals today for nursing school, and so she was asleep by like 9:15, and Aaron was extremely tired, and so she was sleeping around 9:15 as well. So I couldn't do the wrap-up show from our room. So I literally had no place to do the show last night.
So I went into his car.
So I first went to my car, and it was pitch black, and it was horrible, and my lights weren't working, like they were shut off because I had them on for too long, and the battery and stuff. So then I walked across the street to great lighting, which was an Advanced Auto Parts. And I was, it was interesting.
This is just like when Rich would have to eat that 12-foot burger from Arby's, and he couldn't eat it in his house. He had to sit in his driveway for like 45 minutes.
It was a little bit like that.
A little bit.
So anyway, we had that dynamic last night, but it's like we're consuming this like every single second of every single day. But we did happen to miss what Blake Snell said postgame. Now, again, the preface is this. He's been amazing. It certainly isn't his fault they didn't score yesterday. And yeah, he allowed 3 runs in 1 inning. And it was not the worst outing in the world. He allowed 3 runs in the entire outing. But this, to me, is unbelievable. Honestly, take a listen to this.
You had not had an inning like that where, no matter the walks or whatever, you shut it down right away. Was that the disappointing part of that inning, that you weren't able to shut it down?
No, I mean, I would have shut it down. I mean, I would say we made an error, and then the scorekeeper said those are earned runs when they're not. So we'll contest that. I would say the 2 batters after the home run, I let my emotions get the best of me, gave them good pitches to hit. After that, I controlled them, got them back into sync. Not perfect. I'm trying to be. Can't have those little blow-ups. It's probably one of the first ones I've had in a long, long time. I've never been that upset. So, just learn from it, get better, and don't give up runs by, being emotional, if you will.
You're not usually.
That's all we need to do. So two things that speak to everything you were talking about that we've all been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We made an error. Okay, not on me. That's where he starts it. Not only did we make an error, the scorekeeper got it wrong. By the way, no, he didn't. This is where players play. Mm-hmm. When you start asking Joe Musgrove to make front office decisions, that's not your job.
Right.
When Blake Snell determines what's an earned and unearned run, that's not your job. The error was a base error, not an out error. It gave them 1 additional base. There were additional hits in the inning. All 3 runs were earned as they should have been. And oh, by the way, guess what? A day later, baseball changed nothing. 3 runs, all earned. Baseball doesn't get it wrong. They can review it all they want. So this is such a me moment for a guy on a team that has been extremely disappointing. Hey, we committed an error that's not on me, and the scorekeeper got it wrong. And I couldn't keep my emotions in check like that. I'm shocked to hear that from Blake Snell. With the way he's been pitching, again, a moment of honesty, frustration post-game, speaking to the larger issue at hand that these guys are maybe out for themselves, but not out for each other.
I mean, are you surprised?
Honestly, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not. Because Blake Snell's going to get paid this offseason. He wants to have the best numbers possible. He's in contention to potentially be a Cy Young Award winner. And there's nobody in the National League that's running away with this thing. I mean, Spencer Strider for Arizona might have 300 plus strikeouts this year, but his ERA is not great. Yeah, he's going to have a bunch of wins, but it's way more. It's more about the other stats than it is wins anymore for Cy Young. We know that. So for him, I get it. But you're right. It speaks to the larger issue. Who cares that those runs are now on you and your ERA got a little bit not ballooned, but your ERA went up to around 2.75 or something like that last night. And oh my gosh, it's going to hurt you for a potential Cy Young. So freaking what? Who cares? You lost the game.
Right. And is it, by the way, like if you would allow 2 earned runs, not 3,
Uh-huh.
and he's got a 2.73 right now, and he'd have, let's say, a 2.69. That's going to be the difference. That 1 earned run is going to be the difference in you winning the Cy Young or not. Like, to me, the larger issue at hand, if I'm asked that question, and maybe the honesty is preferred, but if I'm asked that question, it's, hey, listen, I didn't get the job done. The defense has been great behind me this year. By the way, it has. That's truthful. The Padres defense has been really, really good. To say, I mean, if we actually, he said something before it, we don't need to play it back, but it was something like, yeah, I would have gotten out of the spot if not for the error. Like, that's not on me. We committed an error. The error had nothing to do with the 3-run scoring.
No.
If you reconstruct the inning, which is something Blake Snell doesn't know anything about because he's a pitcher. He's not a scorekeeper.
I will say the umpire last night did something that was really stupid and docked Blake Snell for a violation when he was warming up.
Correct.
And in turn cost him a ball. And then they argued about it for like 3 minutes.
Yep.
And the ending, I guess, was shorter than the argument about this whole situation. So in turn, the pace of play rule that is in effect to make things faster actually made things slower. So it was stupid.
Right.
But he didn't give up a run that inning, so it didn't matter. Yeah, man, it's hey, I'm not surprised by hearing that from Blake Snell. I really am not.
I don't know. Like a veteran, I don't even know how old he is. Is he 30 yet? I mean, he's been in the big leagues for forever. He's won a Cy Young.
Be just under 30.
Whatever he is. I mean, a veteran major league pitcher. It's one thing for an A-ball guy to be mad at the score and say something, to call out the score and your defense. To me, is way too far. To me, that is equally egregious to what Soto said about the team quitting.
All right.
I'm going to call out Xander Bogaerts' defense and the score because I'm trying to protect my ERA. That's all you need to know. That's how I look at it.
And I know Rich Hill the other day, when he was pitching against Arizona, and there was a couple unlucky things that happened in there, right? Like the home run that was the shortest home run ever recorded at Petco Park.
Is that right?
Yeah. In the booby porch over there. If you know, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
He said that it was unlucky, and then he immediately stopped and said, "You know what? It doesn't matter. I gave up the runs. That's all that matters. We lost the game. I suck today, or whatever the case may be, whatever it was. Like I wasn't good enough to win." And he could have made excuses and be like, "Oh, they should change that." He didn't. He said, "There's no excuses for that. I wasn't good enough. We lost the game. That's all that matters." And you didn't hear that from Blake Snell, and you probably won't ever hear that from Blake Snell.
Yeah, the way he said that, honestly, yeah, I didn't like it. I really didn't.
Real quick here, how would you describe Blake Snell's tenure with the Padres?
Good question. I mean,
probably a question for the offseason, when he officially is gone. But I just think it's interesting. He's had a real up and down tenure with the Padres, and I think it's been underwhelming, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the way I'd look at 2023 is like, man, how can you be this good and the team be so bad? But yeah, it's a good question. There've been lows, there've been real highs.
There's been highs.
It's been probably somewhere in the middle, to be honest.
He helped the team last year.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say underwhelming, but I would say roller coaster.
Definitely roller coaster. Definitely. All right, let's play Trainwreck Radio, which means you've got a chance to win a pair of tickets to see 50 Cent at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 31st. If you want those tickets, if you want to play trivia, call right now. First 2 callers will be our contestants, 844-570-1360. We have 2 free tickets to see 50 Cent, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 31st. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. You need to call right now if you want those tickets. The number to call, 844-570-1360. Trainwreck Radio next. Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator at 5:30. Stay with us on John and Jim. All right, Trainwreck Radio on the other side. We've got Aztec football tickets to give away over the course of the rest of the show as well. Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator, will join us. Stay with us. We will get to the wrap in the 5 o'clock hour. There's been too much to react to.
I know.
And people are like, wait, didn't they win today?
I know.
Yeah, they won today, but
here's the caveat to that. If the Reds beat the Angels in their doubleheader game 2 tonight, the Padres are back to 6 games out of the wild card spot.
Stop.
I'm just telling you.
Stop.
I'm giving a retort to the people out there saying, "Well, they won today, guys."
Right. No, what we said, you just got to stick by it.
I know, it's done.
It's done. It's just done. There's too many teams it's just done.
Done.
So
35 left.
Go win 10 straight.
6 games under 500.
It's basically done. We'll get to the wrap in the 5 o'clock hour. Kurt Mattix is San Diego State's defensive coordinator. Now, we've qualified how many listeners so far for Aztec football tickets for Saturday?
1.
Okay, so we're going to qualify another listener.
So make sure to keep listening.
Between now and 5 p.m. Then we're going to qualify a listener between 5 and 6. We'll announce a winner of Aztec tickets for Saturday at 5:45. If you do not have tickets, goaztecs.com has them for Saturday, the opener for San Diego State, Aztecs, Ohio. Critical game to open a season. Really could determine a lot for San Diego State. All right, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Matt and we have Sean. Matt, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Let's go with John.
All right, so that was Matt.
That was Matt.
Matt and John.
Matt and John. Sean and Jim. Sean. You go with that, Sean?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Matt has John. Sean has Jim. Brent, what is today's question of the day?
All right, we played that audio earlier of the guy from Notre Dame talking about possible destinations for Cal and Stanford. Well, the ACC is considering adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU for all sports in 2024. Today's question: Can you name any of the other 14 all-sport members of the ACC? So we're looking for the members of the ACC conference that participate in all sports.
Okay, so an ACC team, essentially.
Name a team in the ACC.
Yeah, name a team in the ACC.
Yes.
That participates in all sports.
Yeah. All sports.
That's
all
big.
Sports. Yep. Sean, you are up first. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
I would say Duke.
Duke?
Is Duke in the Atlantic Coast Conference? They are.
Correct.
Okay.
Matt, you're up next. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Okay, I'm still going to take a wild guess. So UCLA.
Is UCLA in the ACC? They are not.
Okay.
Now they are switching leagues.
It's tough because they're kind of in limbo right now.
But
really.
they're not in either of.
It's okay, Matt.
The two leagues that they're kind of in are not the ACC.
It's fine. It's just the first guess.
No, it's not fine.
It's just the first guess. It's okay.
All right, we're good.
Sean, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. UNC on the list.
All right, this has all of a sudden gotten very interesting.
Matt, though, needs this to stay in the game.
Matt, you do have a lifeline if you don't know an ACC school.
Yeah, so what do you got, Matt? What are you going to do? Do you have a guess or do you want to use your lifeline?
I'll use the lifeline.
Lifeline.
All right, I'm going to give you the most random ACC school.
Can I get?
If you want to guess what I'm going to say, whatever you
On
say,
three.
I'll go with.
1, 2, 3.
Boston
Virginia.
College.
Oh, no.
Virginia? Virginia won a national championship in basketball, and it's like a tried and true ACC member for like 100 years.
I just thought it was a random school. I don't know.
Unbelievable. Virginia is Boston College. Do you take that, Matt?
Sure.
Brent, help me. Virginia?
We kind of screwed this up, though.
Like, name, okay, the most random Big Ten school, Michigan. Anyway. Oh, we did kind of screw this up, didn't we?
We 100% did. We weren't thinking there.
You can't use Virginia, Sean.
Okay, there we go. You
Yeah.
can't use Virginia, Sean. So what's your final guess to win the game? And you can't use your lifeline if you want to use it.
Wake Forest.
Wake for the win. Wow.
That's another very
That's
random.
also very random. But they've
Good
been
job,
around for
Sean.
forever as well.
Sean's like, I live in like North Carolina.
Let me rattle some of these off. BC,
Dude, they're
Pitt,
easy.
Pitt, Syracuse, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Florida State, Miami, NC State, UNC, Duke, Wake. Who are we missing? Oh,
Miami,
Louisville,
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Who else is there?
Pitt.
I said Pitt. I
You
think.
said Pitt. Maryland?
No,
They're in
dude.
the Big Ten.
Oh, sorry. They were in the ACC a
They
long
were
time
a
ago.
long time. Yeah. All right. Who's in the ACC? The trick was you couldn't say Notre Dame because they're in
They're
all
only in
sports but
football.
football.
Yeah.
All right, it's like I said, Boston College, Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, North Carolina, NC State, not Notre Dame because they're only football. Pitt, Syracuse, Virginia. This made me laugh because Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, aka Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest.
And Wake. All right. Good job. Virginia? You thought I was going to guess Virginia?
I don't know.
Well, you made me stop my guess. Hold on.
I don't know why I thought Virginia was so random. I'm sorry. I just did.
It just makes me laugh.
Why?
I don't know. For some reason, it does. Kurt Mattix is San Diego State's defensive coordinator. I'll join us coming up at 5:30. The wrap on the other side. Padres win a series against the Marlins. Is it enough, though? Spoiler alert, no. Jim's Backpage is still ahead. Hour 3, John and Jim next. Call right now.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres beat the Marlins today 4-0. They are still 6 games under 500 and 5.5 back of the final wild card spot in the National League, even though John and me say it's done. Moving over to NFL news, Trey Lance was demoted to QB3 today on the depth chart by the 49ers. Sam Darnold gets the backup role in San Francisco. And the Aztecs announced this timing of their what?
Here we go.
What?
It's the way you say this.
What do you mean?
A start time was announced for San Diego State's opener of the main event in Las Vegas, 6:30 Pacific against St. Mary's. The game will be televised on ESPN Plus and heard on San Diego Sports 760.
Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school. Right now, a 24-pack of Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each, and select notebooks are just 35 cents each. In-store only. Offer ends 8/26, limited to 30. School on, save on at Staples. You're an idiot.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 3 of John and Jim.
San Diego State has announced the timing for their kickoff.
Like a timing has been announced. The timing matter has been approved. I'm like, no, here's what happened. There's a start time that's been announced for a game in Vegas.
I don't remember what I said.
Either do I, and it made no sense. You didn't have that part.
I
written
wish
down,
I didn't
right?
remember what you said.
Why didn't you just write it in? He
Because
writes
I have
everything
it
in, and then
here.
you try to get cute.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, my head hurts.
Why are you yelling at me?
I don't know. Okay, real quick, we have an update to Robert Suarez gate.
Oh,
that Jim is calling like one of the most like
you don't care about it, so let me give it to me.
Because it's like, to me, he's the 5th player this year to have this happen. So there's 30 teams. That means that, one of every 6 teams has happened to this year. But here's the update: that the first base umpire, Todd, let's call him Tishner.
It's Tishner. Todd Tishner.
Whatever. After the game, Tishner told reporters that the right-hander's left wrist had been too sticky / very sticky. Robert Suarez denied using any substance, said it's simply sunscreen, which he applies for day games in San Diego. Now, you may recall that Suarez is wearing long sleeves. So I don't know if you really need sunscreen on your arms. He was wearing brown sleeves.
Oopsie.
Now, do you need to make sure your hands don't get burnt?
Robert Suarez is not a guy that's going to be out there for 5 straight hours. Like,
right. It's like an
Hassan
8-minute
Kim.
assignment.
Yeah. Like Garrett Cooper needs sunscreen. That dude's whiter than I am, and he's out there for all 9 innings.
He'd simply applied his typical amount of sunscreen for a day game in San Diego.
Okay. Well, that's what you use now for quote unquote sticky stuff is sunscreen and rosin.
By the way, the other players suspended this year for the 10 games all didn't appeal. He does have the right to appeal. Suarez said he hasn't yet decided whether he'll do the same, which is waive the appeal process or appeal.
He's probably waiting to hear he's probably waiting to hear from his agent about it. And like the agent's going to say, hey, bro, what's your case? What do you got? And if
the sunscreen, and the agent's gonna be like, you were wearing long sleeves.
Yeah, and if the agent deems that whatever the excuse is not good enough, they're gonna be like, yeah, no, we're not doing it.
He's gonna wait and see if the Reds win tonight and be like, no, we're out of it. I'll take my 10-day vacation. Get me out of here.
Think about this. He makes $10 million a year. Okay.
Yes.
The first 3 years of this deal are $10 million per. 10 games is 1/16 of a season. What's 1/16 of $10 million?
I have no clue. Why are you asking me this question?
But that's how much money he's out.
I have no idea. You've just asked me the
Brent,
most. You've asked me an impossible question.
I mean, that's roughly, Brento, tell me.
You're asking Brent to do it?
Roughly 600.
Well, I'm gonna ask Siri to do it. So
that's
what's the number again?
That's like 610K.
Okay.
Right? What's 10 million divided by 16?
Why are you asking me this question?
I'll ask Siri. Hey, Siri, what's 10 million divided by 16? 625K. Can you imagine that?
Dude.
620. If you earn,
I would be losing my freaking mind.
Let's just say like you earn 60K, right? You work for a living, and you might make less, you might make more, right? But let's just say you make 60K. That's over 10 years of wages.
Oh my God.
For your 10 game suspension.
I would like be beside myself.
Yeah, if you got called into Noreen's office, it's like, listen, I heard what you said. It's not going to cost you your job, but I am going to fine you $625,000.
That's 10 years of pay.
10 years for someone that makes $60K.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, sunscreen, do you buy that?
Noreen, please don't call me in your office to talk about sunscreen.
I can't really buy the sunscreen when you're wearing long sleeves.
Come on.
What
are we doing here?
Right.
What are we doing?
Okay, Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator at 5:30. We're giving away San Diego State, Ohio tickets. The next time you hear the sneeze sounder, call 844-570-1360. Yeah, or Jim Sneeze, call 844-570-1360. You'll qualify to win those tickets. At 5:45, we'll announce a winner of tickets for opening day Saturday. Tickets are available at GoAztecs.com. Should be gorgeous. 4 o'clock start time, San Diego State and Ohio. Right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Trey Lance is now the third string quarterback for the Niners, and he didn't practice today. Where should the Niners trade him to?
First off, I was wrong. This is a complete bust. Trey Lance, I hope he goes somewhere and he does well. I think the situation for him just didn't work. I mean,
how were you wrong? Were you ever like, this is the greatest trade they've ever made and this is the future?
I
don't even remember
I
that.
was more on the side of I'm glad they didn't draft Mac Jones, and I thought Trey Lance had the better upside. He might have the better upside. He just never was given an opportunity, and when he did get an opportunity, he broke his ankle.
Where Jim was wrong,
very wrong. But it wasn't like this guy's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't say that. I just said he has potential, and I wanted to be the quarterback. I want to see what he has.
All right, so where should they trade him?
Couple places. I think either Tennessee or the Vikings. And why I think Tennessee would be my number one spot because it's the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
If he ends up
being good,
blossoming somewhere else, you don't want to have that happen in the NFC for the Niners. And two, the new GM of the Tennessee Titans, I forget his name, but he's been with the 49ers for the last 5-6 years, and he was in the draft room when they drafted Trey Lance. So I think that kind of makes sense for me. So I'll say the Titans.
Let me ask you this. What is he even going to command?
Oh, dude. At best, like a 5th round pick.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, at that point, I'm willing to take a flyer, even as my second quarterback to still develop this player because he's in his early 20s. Now, if it's going to cost more than that, it's like, well, is he even worth much more than that? Here's the thing: he's wherever he lands at this point, he's not going to be playing.
No,
he's going to be backing up. So this is a project. They gave up 3 ones for this guy, right?
They did. They technically only gave up 2 because there was a pick swap in the first round. So they gave up 2 ones for him.
So bad pick.
Yeah, bad pick.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd say maybe Seattle or maybe the Colts or something. I don't think he'll go to Tennessee because they took Will Levis last year. They still have Malik Willis. They're not playing.
So that'd be a long project.
They'd have 3 project guys on their bench.
Then I'll go. It's in the NFC. The team that's being rumored is the Minnesota Vikings.
I could see that.
Yeah,
because Cousins ain't gonna be there forever. Yeah,
right. And they need to back up, and you need to learn from someone in front of you. So I don't know, man. It's just sucks for him. It does. Luckily,
he got beat up by Sam Darnold.
I know that's so
bad.
You drafted
I think I just retire.
Yeah,
that is
3 picks. You got beat up by Sam Darnold.
So bad to get beat out by Sam Darnold. Luckily, their bust of a pick for Trey Lance didn't completely ruin this franchise.
That's a good point. They were in the NFC title game.
Got lucky.
Yeah. Next question.
Would you guys shut down Manny for the rest of the year with his injury to his elbow?
If this thing gets a little out of hand and Manny is just going out there just to try to, I don't know, whatever, is it worth it? I mean, if he's not getting, if it's not hurting him at all to swing a bat, then it's fine. But he doesn't look right. He just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't looked right all year long. I'm not going to be blaming his bad season on an injury, but if this thing gets out of hand, they might have to stop Manny from himself. And that would be a bad look, but I don't know, man.
Let's see. Here's the other thing about Manny. When he DHs, what did he do today?
I think
I 1 for 2 with 2 walks. So he was fine today. He was better than fine. When he's DH'd, I mean, he's hit 225 coming in 12 games. So I don't know if we read anything into that or not. Here's the thing. I mean, his value is as like, a two-way player, so to speak. He's one of the game's best defenders, obviously. If he can't play in the field, if you stay 5, 6, 7 out into September, someone's going to have that conversation with him. Because at that point, he's only hurting himself. Yeah. So I'm fine with him going at it for this period of time because obviously it's not over, even though we say it's over. But once it's really over, you're going to have to stop playing if you've got a real injury, and you got to start thinking about 2024.
Yeah.
Not 3,000 hits. Like my priority right now isn't 3,000 hits for Manny Machado.
Is he going to get 3,000 hits in the next month?
No, but I'm saying pace matters for something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you miss 40 games or something, that could be impactful. Mm-hmm. Next question.
Does Cal and Stanford to the ACC make any sense?
No. USC and UCLA to the Big Ten makes no sense.
Right.
Oregon to the Big Ten makes no sense. Arizona to the Big 12 makes no sense. This conference realignment in its entirety doesn't make any sense at all. Texas to the SEC makes no sense. Like Oklahoma to the SEC makes no sense at all. None of it makes sense. So to answer your question, no. It makes no sense.
We all know this, and we've talked about this. I think J.D. Wickerworth has said something along the lines of, we know that TV is literally like driving this thing. And Stuart Mandel had a really interesting tweet that said that if Stanford and Cal end up in the ACC, which is going to happen in all likelihood, then 8 of the 10 remaining Pac-12 schools after SC UCLA are getting like 30 million plus, as in the Pac-12 when it couldn't get 30 million to stay together, but now piecemealed off, they're getting 30 million everywhere because TV is determining what matters. And I feel bad for fans of college football in the West. I really do. The fact that it's been fractured forever like this, potentially Big 10, Big 12, ACC, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for anyone other than TV executives. I think it's wrong. I hope one day it's righted, but it doesn't make any sense. And Stanford and Cal doesn't make any sense, which is why it's going to happen. Next question.
Right. Did the Padres make a mistake by giving Robert Suarez a 5-year, $46 million deal?
Well, year one is a wash.
No doubt.
We'll see. It's not going to be as bad as the Drew Pomeranz deal. Nothing.
Knock on something.
Nothing's as bad as that. At least we saw Robert Suarez this year.
Could Pomeranz still come back for the stretch run?
His career might be over, dude.
What do you mean might?
Like it is over, actually. You're right.
When did he pitch? 2020 or 21? 21.
21. He didn't pitch last year, didn't it? That is.
I mean, you're 2.5 years now.
Disaster. Yeah. Disaster contract by AJ Preller. I don't wait and see, but it's not off to a good start.
No.
And especially because, you're not going to re-sign Josh Hader. At least I hope they don't, because if they do, that means they're giving him a $100 million contract. And I would be like, what are you thinking at that point? And the whole idea was, with how well Robert Suarez pitched last year, you give him this contract knowing that he is going to be the closer of the future. And going into next season, that is going to be a major, major question mark with this team. We all talk about, that next year's team can't be as bad as this year's team.
Right.
There's going to be some major question marks for next year's team that this year's team didn't have going in, and they still suck this year.
Doesn't it seem like it's deja vu to where like every week we're asking, did the Padres make a mistake by signing insert name here to it, insert year and dollar amount?
I mean, listen, you can't fully judge this deal because even at the end of the year, it's only 20% of the contract. Yep. So 80% remains. And he was really good in 2022. But there's a reason why GMs don't typically give out 5-year deals for relievers. They're incredibly risky.
Very risky.
Incredibly risky. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is AJ Preller has typically been able to find some diamonds where he hasn't had to spend $46 million at the back of his bullpen. Mm-hmm. This deal, the Pomeranz deal, leads me down a path of, I know Hader's like generational, but but I'm saying, like, I don't see how now you go, well, hey, Suarez got hurt and Pomeranz got hurt, but let's go give Hader 110 because he's great.
I know. And I have said before, the one thing that Preller has done, if we're looking at all the bad that Preller's done, you also have to look at the good and acknowledge it. And what he has done is he has found closers. He has consistently found back end closers that have been really good for this team. I mean, you got Kirby Yates, you got Trevor Rosenthal, Brad Hand, you have now Josh Hader. He had Fernando Rodney. Remember that year Fernando Rodney had? So he has found back end closers that have been really good for this team. I mean, for a stretch there, the only all-stars for the Padres were closers.
Closers, yeah. But there's no way you give this money if he isn't your closer. That's the other thing about this idea that they're like, hey, maybe Hader's going to be back.
Yeah.
But how? I mean, why would you give 5 years, 46 for a non-closer? Yeah. That's got to be one of the highest contracts in non-closer history for a reliever.
And then you add on to that, he's going to get suspended here for 10 games for getting ejected for sticky stuff. That scares me.
Yeah. What scares me is his injury, because it wasn't a surgically repaired injury.
No, and he's not really blown away guys this year like he was last year.
He's not at all.
I mean, last year, he didn't give up a run at home until game 2 of the NLCS when the game was already over. And it was a meaningless home run by, I think it was JT Realmuto.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Because we were in the left field bleachers at the time.
And the ball was hitting to the left field bleachers,
almost hit us. Yeah. So he was amazing last year. So you kind of we're like, okay, that's the closer of the future. And then he follows up this year with an injury and then comes back and immediately just is shaky as hell.
I mean, he's got 8 strikeouts in 13 to third innings. Maybe it speaks to, I need more movement. I mean, listen, coming into today,
that's it.
8 strikeouts. I mean,
what do you have last year?
Someone like Hader.
What do you have last year?
Last year, he had 61 and 47 to 2 third innings.
Goodness.
So, again, small sample, 13 to third innings, but he's not the same pitcher.
No.
I mean, he's got a 5 ERA essentially. Last year, he had a 2.45. So, you might say, well, small sample size, he was working his way back in. A little bit like we say with Tatis, like, well, but Tatis hasn't fallen off like this. You know what I mean? It's not like he went from the equivalent of Tatis is not 2 ERA to 5 ERA.
Yeah.
The equivalent of Tatis is like 900 OPS to 800 OPS.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like Suarez, it hasn't gone well. And that is concerning. So, okay, I'll go down that path with you. My only reason for real concern with the sticky stuff moving forward, like something that we'd actually talk about in 2024, is if like he needs it because he's not right. But that goes back to the injury that he sustained. Not to anything else, because I know he can be effective because I saw him in 2022.
I did. Yeah. So how much is his injury affecting him to the point where he has to use the sticky stuff? Because the 8 strikeouts in 13 innings pitch is like not good.
No.
And when he's out there, he's not getting many swings and misses. He's still throwing hard. Like he's still throwing around 99.
Yep.
But it just feels like he's not even as close to the pitcher he was last year.
Another guy like, okay, now off a 10-game suspension. There's 24 games left in the year. I mean, does he come back?
Yeah, and it's not a starter. You could be like, okay, it's 2 starts. I mean, a reliever.
Yeah, it could be 6 appearances.
6 appearances for this guy.
Could be. I mean, for him, probably not with
5
the injury.
Tops.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5, but there's going to be games in those 10 where they've got a 1 or 2 run lead in the 7th or 8th inning, and they would turn to him. 3 or 4 times that would happen.
Yep.
Now they turn elsewhere. Now, I think it's even more magnified if they were a playoff team. If they were in playoff positioning, like Philadelphia, San Francisco, hovering in or out, San Francisco, Chicago, they're not. So we'll see what impact it has on them. My concern is Robert Suarez had an injury, which is always concerning with the pitcher.
Yeah.
And now there's this. It's like, what does that mean for him moving forward? And also, if in these 10 games coming up, they are 5-5 and they're still 5, 6, 7 out, do you even like bring him back? It's like, for what? What if he gets hurt?
By the way, I missed a closer for AJ Preller. Mark Melanson, all-star Mark Melanson.
Very good closer.
Thank you to Rich in the chat on YouTube.
Thank you. Is that Rich McGuire?
Rich McGuire, yeah. He said he was thrashed last night after the game because the game sucked, so he just got hammered.
Oh, okay.
But,
interesting.
But yeah, can't forget Mark Melanson. But to the point of like another closer, all-star that AJ Preller has found, I just think going into next year, is he going to have to go out and get another closer? Because then what about Robert Suarez? Like that was supposed to be the guy, right? That's the closer of the future here for the next couple years at least. Or it was like viewed as.
I mean, can you really pay him that kind of money to be? I mean, 8th inning is important. Don't get me wrong. It's a very important inning setting up, but
it's a lot of money for a setup guy.
It is. It is a lot for a setup guy. I had something on my mind. Kurt Mattix will join us coming up at 5:30. San Diego State's defensive coordinator. Padres off tomorrow. Oh, we're at Fair Play Friday.
Oh, no big deal.
And the Padres don't play until later in the day, even though they're on the road out east, Central Time Zone. I think it's a 5 o'clock start, 5 o'clock Pacific in Milwaukee.
I like that.
So join us. We're there from 3 to 6. Padres will be on. We'll get you ready for it. Brandon Woodruff, by the way, for the Brewers, who have had a really nice year.
Yeah, tomorrow is one of their. They don't play any Thursdays for the remainder of the year.
Is that right?
Starting tomorrow.
Yeah. What's that about? Football, which starts that's still 2 weeks away.
5:10 on Friday.
5:10. Thank you.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no more Thursday games for the remainder of the season.
Unless they make the playoffs. And they play on a Thursday, potentially.
I take that back. They play one more Thursday game. That's next Thursday at home versus the Giants. Huge series, John.
Another one like, hey, it's a team in front of you.
They play the Giants and Phillies that week at home.
Yeah. I mean, they're all,
What's the record this month in August?
I want to say since the All-Star game, they're still under 500, right?
In August, they are 9-12.
Really?
In August,
yeah. It's not great.
It's not good.
No.
At all.
I don't know what to say about it. We've said all we can. Kurt Mattix will join us in a handful of minutes. I think they're getting off the practice field right around now. Is 5:30 going to work, Brent? All right, Kurt Mattix.
Sweet.
By the way, Brady Hoke show. You haven't put that in any of your updates.
That's your fault. You didn't remind me.
You know, it's funny. I emailed Fletch and I emailed Jonathan, and I didn't email you. And I work with you, and of course, you wouldn't mention it all day long.
You didn't tell me about it.
You're like the guy. Yeah, you're like the San Diego State guru.
I am?
Well, you should be. You work with me. I know, but you work with me.
But I think was it mentioned at all today? But
you? Fusion with Darren for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but have you mentioned it during the show today, Mr. I had the Brady Hoke coach show?
No, because I thought it was in the updates. Did I mention it during the show?
No.
Oh.
Because I came in and told you guys, I told Cliff that tonight was the first coaches show.
Right.
Cliff from Kogo, so he was going to mention it. So they mentioned it more on Kogo probably than Jim.
Then we have here 6 o'clock, 1 full hour. Head coach of the Aztecs. We'll get you ready for San Diego State and Ohio. Be listening, by the way, for the sounder, the sneeze sounder. When you hear it, call 844-570-1360. We'll qualify another listener to win San Diego State, Ohio tickets for Saturday. If you don't have tickets, you can grab them as well. GoAztecs.com. Should be a gorgeous afternoon at Snapdragon on Saturday. We'll take a timeout. We'll catch up with San Diego State's defensive coordinator, one of the best coordinators in the nation, Kurt Mattix. He will join us next. Stay with us on John and Jim. Kurt Mattix is San Diego State's defensive coordinator. The Aztecs coming off the practice field 3 days away from playing Ohio in their opener. Kurt Mattix joins us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they beat the Marlins today 4-0. They're now 6 games under 500 and 5.5 back of the final wild card spot in the National League. And it was announced today that the Aztecs opening game in the Continental Tire main event in Las Vegas will be November 17th against St. Mary's at 6:30 p.m. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school right now. A 24-pack of Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each, and select notebooks are just 35 cents each. In-store only. Offer ends 8/26, limited to 30. School on, save on at Staples. And tonight, Brady Hoke Coaches Show, 6 p.m. with John, Rich, and the coach, Brady Hoke, right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Better late than never.
All right, Kurt Mattix will join us in a moment. San Diego State and Ohio. I said earlier, if you're an Aztec fan, what's that?
Something just played because you don't have your headset on.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
You never hear anything.
Call right now if you want to be qualified to win those Aztec tickets for Saturday.
844-570-1360
is the number
to call
right
now.
We should do the show like that.
We should. That'd be so annoying.
That'd be a good way not to listen.
Yeah, people listen anyway.
Okay, so we have 2 qualifiers already from the 3 o'clock hour and the 4 o'clock hour. We'll qualify someone right now. We'll catch up with Kurt Mattix as our final listener qualifies. We'll announce a winner coming up in about 15 minutes. I said earlier, I stick by it. If there's one game you're going to as an Aztec fan, I would go to this Saturday because I just feel like it's a meaningful game that could really determine the direction of the season when you look at the schedule ahead for San Diego State. So this weekend, really a sneaky good game. Ohio, 10 wins last year in the MAC championship game. Beat a Mountain West team in their bowl game, Wyoming, to get to 10-4. Traveling west to take on San Diego State. It's always our pleasure to catch up with San Diego State's defensive coordinator, Kurt Mattix, back with us on John and Jim here on San Diego Sports 760. Coach, always our pleasure. We know you're just a couple of days out. When you look at your preparations here, and I know you talked about this a little bit yesterday at the luncheon, but you could see 2 quarterbacks from Ohio, one of which had an amazing year last year in Curtis Rourke before hurting his ACL. How are you preparing for the fact that you could potentially see both Rourke and CJ Harris on Saturday?
Well, I want to start out with just thanking you guys for having me on, and again, in your support of San Diego State football. But to answer your question, I would say, what we do and what their offense is doesn't really change based on who the quarterback is. That's a good thing about the system. They've recruited well. They've had a lot of success through the years and doing what they're doing. But that being said, I think Rourke is a little bit maybe better of a thrower and maybe not as much of a runner, and especially coming off an ACL injury. And then I would say Harris is not as good of a thrower and maybe a little bit better of a runner. So from a run game perspective, you might see a little bit more read zone with Harris, where Rourke might just give the ball a little bit more, and that run play might not be called. Offensively, different routes might come with which quarterbacks on the field. So it's having the awareness, knowing where their top targets are, and knowing what quarterbacks on the field and what their strengths are. I know number 10 likes to tuck the ball and run it if his 1 or 2 option isn't open. So having good lane integrity is going to be important.
Coach, I asked you this question earlier in the offseason about, leaders on defense, and you mentioned that, the leaders they step up themselves. I don't have to name anybody on this team to be a leader. They show it. They show it on the field. So going into this Saturday for you, who are the leaders of this defense going into this year?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about, our 2 captains on defense in Garrett Fountain and Darius Barfield. They were voted by their peers as far as being captains of the team, which is an unbelievable honor. So obviously we're going to look to them for leadership as far as that goes. But again, you got a Dan Opoco who's played a lot of snaps for us. Cooper McDonald, a young guy in Cyrus, has done a nice job. And then again, if you go into the back end, you got a guy like Des Malone, who you got to count on to be able to shut down half a field. And then Devon Celestine has done a nice job as well from that standpoint. So we're really excited about where we're at, and we're really excited about getting an opportunity to showcase who we are against another opponent other than an offense.
Kurt Mattix with us right now, San Diego State's defensive coordinator. Again, the Aztecs are going to play Ohio Saturday at 4 p.m. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com, the opener for both San Diego State and Ohio. Coach, a name that maybe Aztec fans are not familiar with, Marcus Ratcliffe, true freshman, Cathedral Catholic, starting in your secondary at Aztec. Can you talk about his performance in showing the program in January and getting to this point to start game 1 as a freshman?
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest thing about Marcus that you know about him is just his professionalism. I mean, like if you talk to him and you see him and the way he practices, he's not like a freshman. He's got like an old soul. He comes to work. He's got like a lunch pail type mentality. You love everything about him. And obviously you give credit to CC and Coach Doyle and the different high schools that he came from, CC, as far as how they developed him and all that. But just the character of the young man, the way that he studies the game, his professionalism and how he practices, wants to get better, wants to get coached. And you just saw the physical nature that he played with come spring. And then obviously, with the news that happened right after spring, we were like, okay, we got to find the next guy and the next man up mentality. And it was a competition between about 4 or 5 guys. And he was able to come to the top of that competition. And so, again, just talking about the way he came out and competed on a day in, day out basis. He had his struggles early in fall camp, just like most freshmen do, but just the understanding about how to bounce back, how to just be committed to the game and wanting to get better, and him preparing and knowing how to study film has just been awesome. And we're excited for him, and he's earned this opportunity. And so nothing was given to him for sure. And we're excited about that.
Coach, for you, you got a pretty relatively young defensive line. Just talk about the, issues that you could face this Saturday with the young defensive line, and how important is it for them to get pressure on the quarterback?
Well, that's a great statement, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And we're going to play D-line by committee. And you're going to see a lot of numbers rolling in and out, trying to find the best combination between players. And then towards the end of the game or in crucial situations, the guys playing the best ball at that time are going to, stay out there. But, we feel like, again, going back to, similarly talking about like Marcus, we've had a group of guys that have played pretty solid, maybe a day off here or there. Then another group came on and, we are pretty multiple with what we're doing. Another freshman by the name of Brady Nasser, he's going to get some playing time Saturday. So we're excited about that. But the biggest thing is trying to be as consistent as we can. You talked about Ohio and the fact that they're returning 9 starters on an offense. A lot of those guys are offensive linemen. 4 out of 5 are returning starters. So, their unity and the way that they came off the ball and how physical they are, it's going to be important for us to stay fresh, to try to continue to cultivate whatever type of pass rush or pressure that we can do by keeping people fresh. And sometimes it might not look pretty, but as long as they're playing hard with great effort and toughness, we'll be proud of them.
Coach, one more before you go, as we know you're getting ready for a game, and your line to some extent has been cutting in and out. But we have to ask you about Jalen Maiden, because you've gone up against him, throughout fall camp. Your defense, what are you seeing from Jalen, his progressions from last year to this?
Well, I see a more confident quarterback, and I see a guy that's really taking control of the offense, and a guy that really has a presence back there. Again, we defensively, we're in a tag tempo. So, like, whenever we're playing against Jalen, it's a tag situation. So, who knows if you would have made a bigger play than what it maybe was, and so on and so forth. But, his combination working with the receivers and how he's been playing has been lights out. And I'm excited for him. He's earned this. Again, he's put in a lot of hard work to get himself into this position, and we're really excited to see what he could do against a very talented Ohio defense.
Kurt Mattix, San Diego State's defensive coordinator, getting ready for a huge Week 0 test against the Ohio Bobcats, coming off that 10-win season with their quarterback Curtis Rourke back. Coach, we appreciate it. We'll see you this weekend. Thanks for taking time for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, thank you, guys, and have a great day. Appreciate you.
All right, Kurt Mattix, again, San Diego State's defensive coordinator.
I am so interested to see how this team looks on Saturday.
Now, have you credentialed?
Thank you.
I feel like it's noteworthy and newsworthy because last year with basketball, again, they were like 40-2, and
that means you have to go now.
I'm going to go.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Like inside.
I will be there inside.
The football game.
The football
they
game.
like throw the ball.
Run
it.
No, I'll
like
be there.
basketball last year. I went outside, and then when the game started, I went home.
I've gotten you excited, I feel like, for this game. Maybe you would have been like as you got closer as college football as the start of the year.
You know what honestly made me the most excited for the game?
What?
Wasn't anything you did.
What is it, Aaron?
No, not Aaron. Why would she get me excited for San Diego State, Ohio?
What was the moment where you're like, oh my, I'm excited?
And it might be stupid because it is just practice and it was a scrimmage, but just
you saw some scoring drives.
I'm just like, this is new and potentially exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end all be all, and they could honestly not look good offensively the first game.
Right, we have no idea.
No idea. But seeing a glimpse of what potentially could be, I liked it from the offensive side of the football, where you're like, okay, they have a pretty competent quarterback that can make some plays, throw the ball downfield. I feel like they have a pretty competent offensive coordinator that potentially could bring some new dynamics to his offense that it hasn't seen in a long time. He's a young guy in Ryan Lindley, also first-time job, but he played the position, and he's a former Aztec. And not only did he play the position well here, he played to a level where he's one of the best quarterbacks in school history.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Played in the NFL. That's what made me excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
That's what made me excited. Nothing you did. You did absolutely nothing.
I did nothing. But no, that was very well said. Yeah. Okay. Aztecs, Ohio, pregame coverage at 2 p.m. Kickoff 4 p.m. Saturday. Chances to win tickets all day tomorrow on San Diego Sports 760. If you're looking for tickets, go Aztecs.com. Should be a really nice afternoon for football on Saturday. All right, we'll announce our winner
Yes,
We've
winner coming up.
qualified 3 listeners to win the Aztec tickets today for San Diego State, Ohio. We'll announce a winner on the other side, plus Jim's back page. Don't go anywhere. All right, a winner for those Aztec tickets for Saturday, plus Jim's back page next. All right, we need a winner. San Diego State, Ohio. We've qualified 3 listeners for a chance to win these tickets for Saturday, 4 o'clock. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. What are we going to do? Drum roll? Or is Brent just going to say, here's the winner?
The winner. I don't know. Whatever Brent wants to do. It's up to Brent.
It was Edward. I did it already.
Edward, it's already been done. Congratulations.
Edward, you're going to the home opener for the Aztecs this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium versus Ohio. Tickets are still available. I believe. I don't know what I was going with that.
That's great. That was really good.
I was going to say something and I completely lost my train of thought.
Edward, say hello. We're broadcasting pregame from 2 to
idiot.
4 outside the team store. Swing by, say hello. We'll be out there a couple hours before the game getting you ready. JD Wicker will join us Saturday at 3 p.m., about an hour out from San Diego State and Ohio. Do you have something? You probably have Backpage.
I do have Backpage.
You want to get to it?
Yes. So it's kind of funny that this person's name was actually mentioned on today's show. He was always going to be in the back page, but he was actually mentioned on the show earlier today. Most random person ever. That's Will Levis, quarterback for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, yes.
Brent talked about him. We talked about him a little bit
Kentucky.
in the Kentucky quarterback.
Via Penn State, by the way.
There you go. Yeah. But the reason why he's in the back page today is because he has signed a lifetime contract endorsement deal with Hellman's mayonnaise.
Why?
Because he at the combine or before the draft, they did like some vignette on him, and he puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
Ooh.
And it became this big thing at the NFL draft that Will Levis is a weirdo because he puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
That's very
I wouldn't
weird.
have drafted him just because of that.
So Hellman's mayonnaise has signed on Will Levis to be an endorser of their company
for forever,
for life.
Are they paying him or are they just giving him mayo?
No, of course they're going to pay him. But he is now an endorser of mayonnaise because he puts it in his coffee. Very weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I'm with you, Brent.
Weird.
I would have not done that. Also, Will Levis, weirdo alert. He eats his bananas whole, does not peel them.
He eats the skin?
Yes.
Yeah. What? Can you even do that?
Yeah, that guy should be in like a rubber room somewhere.
That's weird.
Instant bust. Like
just based on that. Does he have bananas with coffee?
Instant bust. Like not only does he drink coffee with mayonnaise, but he also eats bananas with the peel on.
Super
like,
weird.
I'm not a big banana guy. I'll eat bananas, but like you got to peel it, bro.
You're not a big banana guy?
Not particularly.
You're weird.
Thanks, John. Do you remember? I think this was like a craze of the pandemic because we all just were watching Netflix and Fry Festival.
Yes.
Was a big documentary on Netflix and on Hulu that everyone watched and became this big talking thing about 2020. I thought it was so fascinating, right? Was Fire Festival? No, it's Fire Festival, right?
That was yeah, Fire Festival.
Billy McFarland.
Yeah.
He went to jail because he like scammed a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Billy McFarland has announced Fire Festival 2, saying that pre-sale tickets are now sold out.
It's too bad. It's all sold out. Can't go.
Well, is it going to be the same thing?
There's
People go somewhere and then there's nothing to do.
There's a target date of 2024 for this. Details obviously are not,
available.
out. There's no lineup for the festival at all. But pre-sale tickets went on sale and they're all sold out. Now, it doesn't say how many tickets went on sale. That's the big caveat.
All 6.
Every 10 of the tickets were
all
sold.
10.
But I mean, come on. I mean, if you watch that documentary, which everybody did, it's a disaster.
It was an amazing documentary.
I was
fascinating,
like glued to the television.
Great.
I wanted more
because of all the marketing for it. Like, this could be the time of your life. And then
Yeah.
you get there and they had like peanut butter sandwiches and like broken down tents.
No, peanut butter sandwiches would have been an upgrade.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. It was just pretty much 2 slices of like white bread and
Oh
like
my
a
God.
carrot.
with cheese and tomato on it.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, you had thousands of people go to this random island for a music festival that thought was going to be like Woodstock 99. but better. And it was like a hurricane or some type of weather
Yeah,
issue.
that's right. There was water everywhere, and
no one could sleep. It became this like disaster.
Dude, that's literally my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it was horrible, dude. Horrible. Oh, by the way, Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2 came out. Brilliant.
Don't spoil it.
Amazing. Right, Brent?
It's my favorite Star Wars show out of all of them.
It is.
That's like saying
it's
not even close.
It's close. It's exactly what you want out of Star Wars. Go watch it. You will not be disappointed.
We're finally getting
That's
a
like
Jedi
saying-
show.
Yes.
It's my
No more
favorite Batman
boring
match.
political.
Shut up.
All right, if you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, YouTube by searching John and Jim 760. Also, find us on social media at John and Jim, JONANDJIM. We're back tomorrow at 3. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it right here. It's the all-new San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay, give me my cord back.
Oh, sorry.